Hey guys, it's Eric with the Miller Park Minute, where we're throwing strikes and getting likes, hitting dingers, and getting listeners. Back again with another podcast. We're talking Brew Crew tonight. Why are the Milwaukee Brewers making fandom so tough on us fans? We're going to dive into that topic and a lot more tonight. We've got some power rankings, updates, some rumors. We're going to talk about CC Sabathia, some more. Just a little grab bag of everything, like I like to do sometimes when there's not as much news. If you are a fan of Brewers Talk and you want to hear regular Brewers Talk, you can join our podcast. We are on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, of course, Facebook, Castbox, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Apple, just to name a few. Live recording nightly around 9:30, 10 o'clock, just depends on the day. You can check the Facebook and the Twitter for the live streams as well. 4 p.m. Central on Saturdays is starting next week. So not this week, but next week. If you want to go to any event, you can use the SeatGeek code Miller Park Minute and save $20 off your first purchase. That's for just about everything. And if you want to support this podcast, you can go to Patreon, patreon.com/Miller Park Minute. All right, guys. We're going to talk about why the Milwaukee Brewers are making fandom tough nowadays. Number one, and this comes to mind this time of year especially, is because we've spent year in and year out all of our hard-earned dollars being fans, and they used to reward us with an event. And I'm talking about Milwaukee Brewers on Deck. It wasn't a free event either. So it wasn't like it was something that they were not making money off of. That's kind of where I'm struggling with this. And I've talked about this 100 times, but I'm going to take a more deep dive tonight. Like, there are certain things that as a fan that you want to be able to do. You want to have access. I think all of us enjoy when we can get in early for BP. When you have access to players, autograph Fridays were a big one. Just little things like that. And it seems more and more as time passes that they don't care about us in that way. They don't want to spend the extra, yeah, I know Wisconsin weather, winter, but they've always had a good turnout. I've been to, I don't even know, 10 plus on decks, and it was always a fun event. It was always packed. There was always long lines. I think they limited it to like 250 people per player autograph line. But there was always people in those lines. You had your players that weren't as popular. And you could kind of walk right up and get in their line. I did that with one of my most recent memories of it was Yasmani Grandal was one that I walked up and just did got in there, got a ticket, and got the autograph real quick. But there was always people. There was always a turnout. It was in the Wisconsin Center. They had that great kids thing. One of the last years I actually took my son with me, and they had access. We got out right up with Corbin Burns, and it was really fun. And maybe Jimmy, I don't remember, but there was a couple players that we had really good access to, and it was a good time. Now, last year they did a bar event, and it was a limited capacity. It sounds like they let everybody in, but I couldn't see sitting outside in that kind of cold weather at night. And that makes me think that they don't really care. They're making it more tough. I understand you have to get all the players here. There's travel, there's logistics, but you're also turning a profit. That's number one. That's the biggest thing. You don't care enough to have a fan fest. Everybody has a fan fest. And the reason I thought about this is because a podcast that I was listening to today was talking about the Pirates Fan Fest. And I was like, God, I miss us having a fan fest. If you want to really get an inside experience, you can go back. I have videos on the channel of the Brewers on decks that I've been to, or a couple of the Brewers on decks that I've been to. I've made either 2 or 3 videos on it, and it was really fun. It was a good time. My wife got a selfie with Bob Uecker. I mentioned that she got that selfie. It gave a different level of access to everyone, and I've made good connections with players and got cool selfies. Eric Thames, Hernan Perez, let Hernan pitch, and it's just sad that we don't have that anymore. And though I'd say, oh, okay, well, and a lot of people have, especially with the passing of Bob, a lot of people have mentioned the interactions at spring training. Well, not every fan can go to spring training. It requires making a road trip or a flight to Arizona. So you don't get as, and players are really gracious there and everything's really good. I've been there, I've done that. But again, that's not for every fan. Every fan can go to an on deck. Every fan can typically afford a $30 purchase, not a, I don't even know what a flight to Arizona costs nowadays. I haven't looked it up because, quite frankly, I just, it's something I know I can't afford, so I'm not going to do that as a fan. And I think that really hurts. That really hurts the overall picture. Maybe they'll do something. I don't know. We're almost to the end of January. It's the 22nd. If they were going to do something at this point, I think they'd done it. The other thing that I really have noticed is, and I do a podcast just about every day or every couple of days now, because we're kind of in that lull season and I'm taking my time just getting everything back on air and getting everything running. But they're not updating us. They're not bringing out giveaways. They're not hyping the season at this point. I mean, if you go on Brewers.com, there's not group tickets are on sale. You got CC Sabathia, but they don't have anything really engaging as far as what's going on. Billy Joel and Stinger playing at Miller Park, 12 packs. They're not really giving us anything to look forward to. I mean, they don't even have the on sale date yet. The Arctic Tailgate event, which is always a popular event. None of that stuff has popped off. And I know maybe I'm early to the game and early to the gate, but start engaging us. You know what I mean? You disappoint us. We're devastated right now. Brewers fans are reeling and we need something. We're going to have to go through our first baseball season ever without the beautiful voice of Bob Uecker. And that's going to be really tough. And I think even an event celebrating Bob Uecker would be something really classy that they could pull off. Just I don't know, okay, here's the thought process. Bear with me if I'm going off the rails here, but have a night where it's a night at an event center downtown and just have people talking about their memories of Bob, and we can raise money for cancer, for small cell lung cancer, what he died of. All proceeds go to that. Have a couple players do some autographs. I mean, there's so much they could do, and I'm not saying they need to cash in off of Bob. What I'm saying is, if you did something of that magnitude, I think it would really engage people and bring people together, especially at this time. Because right now it's feeling very, very hard to be a baseball fan and to be engaged. Nothing, and this is MLB wide. It's not just the Brewers. Outside of the Dodgers, nobody is really making moves. I mean, if you look at everything the Dodgers have done, those guys have got to be jacked right now. I mean, to be a Dodgers fan right now would be amazing. They just got Kirby Yates. I mean, there's just not a lot of momentum, and I think that's where baseball fails, is there's not off-season momentum to keep fans engaged and activated. I know everybody gets into it's Wisconsin, so everybody gets into Packers football. I get that. That to me is not my cup of tea. So I just feel like We need that piece, that something, to make the off season better. And on deck used to be it. On deck really used to be it, and I think that's where the topic of this video kind of came into light. Is I was like, God, they failed to let us do this. They failed to let us enjoy fandom in the off season. I mean, I'm a guy, and I mean, you see it in what I do here and what I wear, and I love merchandise. I love sweatshirts and different things. They haven't dropped a line of clothes, a new hoodie, nothing. You know, they send you all the sales over the Christmas season, but none of the merchandise was new. It just feels like there's a lack of something, and I'm sure if we look at the other side, we could say, well, you know, they're worried about revenue. Well, create things that make revenue. They re-signed this deal with Bally, i.e. FanDuel Sports, i.e. Diamond. They need to do something for us as fans to make this better. I mean, at this juncture, are we going to have games on television? It doesn't. I don't know, because there was all those deals that, you know, Dish Network, then it was Spectrum, then it was all these places didn't have deals. And now it's like, okay, DirecTV, YouTube TV doesn't have it. You know, everybody's moved over to streaming. And I felt like we were close to getting something when the season ended and FanDuel dropped out or Bally dropped out. I felt we were close to getting something and getting somewhere with something. And we were going to have our own streaming service, and then they were going to work deals with cable companies and that kind of thing. And that even fell off. I mean, again, it's a struggle to be a Brewers fan. They're making it harder. They also have not put much effort into bringing in a guy. Every offseason, you bring in a guy that, you know, gets people excited. Rhys Hoskins, for example, was one of those guys. You make a trade that gets people excited. Nestor Cortez did get me excited, but the moves are very lacking. And we still have a big question mark. We're on the 22nd of January, and we don't know who our third baseman is going to be. Talk about lack of excitement. You can't even sign somebody for the position that we have a gaping hole at. And it just, you know, maybe it's because I think back to the CC time and what a big piece of momentum that was. And every year since, you know, we've had 18, you get Christian Yelich and Lorenzo Cain, and it just feels like we're meddling at this point. We're doing nothing. We're going nowhere. And it's frustrating. And this is one of the few times you'll actually hear me voice my concerns and my passion for this, but it really feels like something needs to break. Something needs to happen. And I don't know what that's going to be. Now, I will change my tune tomorrow if they make a big signing, you know, bring in Bregman, bring in Max Scherzer. I saw a rumor about that today, and I was like, oh, that's kind of funny and all in of itself, but just isn't anything. There's nothing. You know, I'm sitting here looking at CC Sabathia's statistics. You know, the guy, 11-2, 1.65 ERA, you know, and everybody's talked about these numbers. Every podcast, every Brewers podcast has talked about it, and you know, the 7 shutouts, and no team has more 9-inning complete games in a single season than CC Sabathia had, 7. That's one player, not a whole team. Sabathia didn't give up a single extra base hit to a left-handed hitter with the Brewers. Sabathia became the third pitcher in 90 years to win his first 8 decisions after an in-season trade. Sabathia's 17 starts with the Brewers by ERA happened to be the greatest 17-game stretch for a starting pitcher in a single season in franchise history. Since 2008, only 2 pitchers have thrown more second-half innings than CC Sabathia, 115 and 2/3. Sabathia and Ben Sheets are the last pair of teammates to each throw 3+ shutouts in the same season. I mean, that's awesome. Just brings the nostalgia back. You know what I mean? Like, and that came from Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, J.R. Radcliffe, and Kurt Hogue. Great. Awesome. But it's not much. It's not much at this juncture. You know what I mean? Like, it's just very frustrating. It's very frustrating across the board to not have the these things happening, to not have moves, momentum. I know we haven't made a big picture trade and signing in a long time, and I get it. It's very cool to have good players and to have Jackson Churio and all these young guys that we're looking forward to and seeing different stuff happening with. But at the same point in time, we need just some shot in the arm, some juice right now in the offseason. More talks about Bregman. People are writing articles left and right about that. Power rankings. I'm going to do a power rankings. This is from the people at Bleacher Report. Of course, we like to talk about power rankings always on this show. Just kind of gives us a gauge of where we stand in the overall MLB. So, Bleacher Report starts it out with the Dodgers at number 1. Atlanta Braves at number 2. Houston, number 3. New York Yankees at number 4. Phillies, number 5. That's an interesting one. I would think that the Mets would come above that, but the Rays at 6. San Diego, 7. The New York Mets at number 8. With their big offseason additions, I would think they would be higher than that. The Milwaukee Brewers come in at number 9. So most of the offseason rankings have had us right around 9 or 10. I think one of them had us below the Cubs, which was kind of funny. But it says at this point, regular season win percentage 5.58, playoff appearances 4, 2 wins, wins above replacement. They're saying 163.9. I don't know what that means for a whole team. Alas, what are the Brewers if not the National League's answer to the Guardians? They have been so good at keeping wins coming that they've made the playoffs 6 times in 7 seasons. They have similar knack for digging up talent on the margins, though Jackson Churio is positioned to be for Milwaukee what Ramirez is for Cleveland. Yet the franchise's meter for years without a World Series title is at 56 years and counting. This likewise related to roster churn via low revenue, which has forced the Brewers to compete despite parting with stars like Josh Hader, Corbin Burns, and now Willy Adames. Where are we going to get the spark? Is it going to be Jackson? Is that what we got to do? I don't know, guys. I'm just a guy who sits on the internet and talks about baseball on a regular basis. I don't have any insight as to what I think the moves are. I can suggest, but I don't know for certain. I'm going to do one last thing here. In lieu of Bob Uecker, in lieu of CC Sabathia, I'm going to play a little audio from 2008. All right, guys, that is the magic clip from the playoff or the breaking the playoffs. First go at it, right? So, that's a memory that I think each and every Brewers fan hold dear. We broke the drought, and it was truly something magical. So I think each and every one of us have a fond memory of those days, and I am remiss to not mention that and not bring that up at this time, as we're getting reminiscent of CC Sabathia and Bobby Uecker at the same time. So with that, we are going to close out tonight's podcast. Well, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for coming aboard. Remember to like, subscribe. We're going to keep coming at you with Brewers content. We're going to keep doing these podcasts on a regular basis. Follow the channel, like, subscribe. Like I said, guys, it's kind of a no news is going on right now. So I'm just kind of chatting about my feelings at this point. All right, guys. Well, that's Eric with the Miller Park Minute. You guys have a great rest of your night. Where this is the Miller Park Minute, where we throw strikes, get likes. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your night and or day if you are listening to this during the daytime. Thanks.
Thank you for watching the Miller Park Minute. Go Brewers.